Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 4 of NPC Contact, the podcast dedicated to anything and everything old school RuneScape. Today is episode 4, and I am joined, as usual, by my lovely co-host, Dana.
Hello.
And my less lovely co-host, Grant.
You upset about what I said in the intro before?
Yes, I'm very upset, and nobody will ever know this story because... Yeah. Okay. Moving on swiftly.
DM me on Twitter.
Join the Friends Chat special to find out. Speaking of Friends Chat, guys, let's launch into our first segment of the week, Friends Chat. What have you guys been up to this week on the game? Been doing anything interesting, or
just being lit?
Moving swiftly.
No, I've been doing a lot of stuff. I went to Armadillo.
You've been learning solo.
I made a bit of dosh there. I made about 35 mil. Got myself an Armadillo chain skirt.
Love that.
It's pretty good, yeah.
Yeah. What have you been up to, Dana?
I've been AFK fishing because I've not really played much this week, so...
Yeah, the issue with this segment is that Grant is pretty much burnt at the moment, so he doesn't actually do anything. I'm working, so I don't really have time to do much, and you're also working. So you just
said
fish.
I'm burnt. That is simply an allegation.
It is an allegation. It is a true one, though.
It's a true one. So it's a fact.
What can I say, mate? It's lonely at the top.
You do. You know where it's not lonely? If you go really deep down underneath Karamja, there's like a place that you can go to where you can go and try and get this cape that's like really prestigious, and so maybe you should go down there and make some friends down there.
I'm DCing.
There's lag. Hello.
I'm DCing.
Hello, Grant. Hello.
Hi.
Don't splash.
Can't be arsed. Shut up. No one's gonna get that.
I can't even think about what I'm doing. I got 94 agility.
You did.
I'm doing that. Yeah. I'm making my way downtown, walking fast.
Again,
This is. I can't remember the word of that.
Yeah.
Whatever.
We should move.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess not much really going on. You are fishing right now, Dana, because you are close to 99. Are you not?
I mean, I'm already 99, but yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
Sorry.
Bit of a weird flex. I am
not really
200k off 99, so...
So if you can hear some clicking going on in the background, don't worry, that's just Dana he's just getting the XPs, you know? But don't worry, as a professional host, I will be focusing exclusively on what we're talking about this week.
And yes, he has put this on his CV.
Yep, it is. Plus the editing experience that I've done, you know, audio stuff, you know, it's just all on there. Yeah, so this week, slightly different than normal. We actually don't have a blog to go through, but we are going to go through the Golden Gnome Award finalists, because as content creators now, I feel like we should probably be aware of the space, who's rising up, who's doing...
As content creators,
we are
now. No,
I mean, you know, we are obviously a very small channel. We're a brand new channel. So I think it's quite interesting to have a look at, you know, as like a bit of inspiration.
Soldier Boy's taking the dub. You know, it is what it is. Like we
True. Okie dokie. So I've sent you guys this list ahead of time, but we're going to go through it now anyway. So the first category is Best New Old School RuneScape Video Creator. And the nominees for this are Nine Rain, Behemoth, OSRS Highlights, Poisoned Potion, Pulverizes. You guys watched any of these guys? Have you seen any of their stuff?
All of them apart from... Who's that? Who's the last guy?
Pulverizes.
I don't know who he is or she is, but...
I am not aware of their stuff either, but I think it's...
The rest of them I do watch.
It's kind of interesting because like you and I were talking about this the other day, specifically about the best new streamer. And one of the nominees for that, obviously we'll get to that in a bit, is Sync. And you said he's not a new streamer. He's been a streamer for a very long time. He's sort of blown up over the past 6 months or so. I'm curious as to how many of these guys are actually new creators and what their definition of new is.
Wait, so is this for best new YouTuber?
Yeah. Best new old school RuneScape video creator.
Okay, yeah.
And it says on the thing, the new kids on the block who started making videos just this year. Now,
I guess
have these
definition.
Yeah, but
Jimmy's,
have they?
Well, no. Jimmy's been making videos for like ages.
No. We're looking at the best new creator, not the best
Oh.
creator.
My
So
bad.
it's the top,
Nice one.
Shut up.
the top thing.
Forehead. Yeah, it was this, and it was the toxic blowpipe thing last time, where I thought you could put like 2 ammunition in it, like fucking.
And in episode 0, there's you said the blowpipe was 2 ticks when it's 3
yeah,
ticks.
it's 3. Yeah.
I had to fucking put an asterisk up there.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know why we
noticed.
even have him on the podcast. to be
I
honest
know,
with you.
it's actually. We'll
Looks
replace him
pretty
next
Scottish.
week.
That's what rude.
Bit of diversity. He's the maxed one.
No, it's bad.
Right, moving on.
So do you guys have any picks for the new RuneScape creators? I quite like the Poison Potion Hardcore Iron Man series. I think the production quality that goes into that is incredible.
Can you say the list again, please?
It's Nine Rain, Behemoth, OSRS highlights, Poison Potion, and Pulverizers.
I like Nine Rain. I actually showed you Nine Rain, didn't I? And you said his stuff was really high
Yeah.
quality. I like his stuff. He's good. Behemoth you would vote for, but he doesn't actually. I suppose he does edit his videos, but the artist.
Yeah, I don't like highlight channels. I'm not gonna lie. This
Well,
is
I
gonna
won't
be
give- I'll-
time stamped in the fucking video again, as Will offends everybody.
I'll give him his
Damn it,
due.
Dane.
He's at least fair about it. He
Don't
does
have to
pay
be.
people.
Okay, well, don't put that in.
It will be.
Will in the future cut this part out of the video.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh.
That one's a bit of a strange one because it's like he is fair and it is all fair use and he does pay the streamers back and stuff. That is fair, but it is just like
I don't know. It just seems a bit.
mm,
If I had to pick
know.
one of them, I'd agree. I wouldn't pick him. I'd probably pick
I'd go with Nine Rain personally.
probably Poison Potion. But
I've heard good
it's
things
really
about
the
him.
one I've
Though.
actually watched. Properly.
Yeah, I think that you would really enjoy his videos. To be honest, Grant, it's.
The weird thing about it is, it's just another hardcore. And
It
I don't
isn't,
mean that
though.
in a bad way. Is it not?
No.
I thought it was a hardcore Ironman.
I mean, technically, yeah,
Technically, yes.
but it's really not just like another hardcore series. It's
Okay, I mean,
it's
I'll give it a
very
watch.
interesting to watch.
I'm sure it's good.
So yeah, if you guys haven't heard of Poison Potion, but somehow you've stumbled across us, then go check him out. He does some really good stuff. I'm going to go through this list relatively quickly. I don't want to spend too much time going through the gnomes. So best old school RuneScape video creator. So we've got C Engineer, Jimmy, and Super S,
Oh, it's so hard, man.
because we're not including Link Ocarina and Rag. Just gonna skip over them.
That's so mean.
No, I'm just fucking. So
That's so hard, though, man. They're all so
yeah.
hard for Link's Ocarina. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
We're kidding. It's just it's a bit of ants. For me, this one's quite straightforward. C Engineer has a gnome, so I would feel less inclined to give it to him.
Why?
He's already, because he's got one, and the main series that he was working on was his PvP hardcore, right? That ended like 3 months ago, and
Yeah.
I don't really think he's done anything since then. Whereas I look at someone like Soup, who has like sort of, I mean, for me, from like an editing perspective, sort of revolutionized the way that I look at old school videos with his skill in all games. I feel like the quality of his videos are just so high, and that's the sort of standard that I aspire to when we finally get around to making videos that aren't like just a podcast. So for me, I would give it to Soup.
I mean, that's a valid point. I can't really argue with. That's annoying. I'd probably
Wait,
pick
I'm so
Soup.
glad I've recorded that. Ladies and gentlemen, that has never been said in
I'm
the
sorry,
history
man.
of ever. Holy
Just-
shit, I've
just to
known
be
Dane for
different.
like 13 years, and that has never happened before. What the fuck?
Still think it's pretty bullshit that you just because the engineer's already got one means that you wouldn't.
Well, I mean,
give
that
him another,
that is
'cause
that is a
basically punishment
factor,
for being good, but
but
probably pick
it's
Soup
not the
then.
main. It's not my main criteria by any means.
I'll accept it on the basis that it's a small point. In
Yeah.
an
I love
otherwise
Jimmy though,
valid
bro.
series.
I've
Jimmy's
never
so
really
good.
gotten into Jimmy's videos. I
By
don't know
release
why.
is so good. It's so good. I started watching him maybe a couple months ago, and it genuinely is really good.
So what's the
So-
problem? He just does quests in the order that they came out, right?
But he's an Iron Man, so it's like but you can only do
So he's an
things
Iron
in that
Man.
period of time.
Okay, yeah. Iron Man.
I
By the
don't
way.
know, by the way.
No, I get what you mean. Yeah, I mean, it does sound like an interesting concept. Does he do other stuff other than just the quests, like on his series?
Yeah, he works. Like, if he has to get an item for said quest, I mean, it's like it's just you need to just watch it. I know
okay,
it's
so
weird, but like
it's like an Iron Man progress video series focusing on
Kinda.
quests in the order.
but he
That...
makes them funny though. Like he does music and stuff. It's
Okay,
It's,
well, I think that's like quite indicative of like why I haven't seen his stuff, because in my eyes it's just another, which I guess kind of the same reason that you didn't watch any of Poison Potion's videos,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
to you
sure.
it just seemed like it was another hardcore series.
it's one of those things you just need to just watch, and if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's interesting. So, would you give it to Jimmy then over Soup?
Oh, it's so hard because the Gillinor Games is actually genius.
Mm-hmm.
That's my
genuinely-
reason for picking Soup. That is just exceptional.
Yeah.
So,
I'll pick Jimmy to be different.
So moving on to best old school RuneScape video. The nominees for this are the $5,000 Battle Royale hosted by Escape.
Expected value RuneScape. That's what his name means.
forehead.
EV as in like Pokemon EVs.
Expected value.
Why are you laughing at that?
EV
not
is an
funny.
evening vehicle. What?
None of
EV
these
as
are
in
funny.
extra virgin olive oil. Okay.
What?
The second entry. The second.
This isn't even a podcast anymore. This is just like really shit stand-up comedy.
Yeah, this is
Like, none of
fucking
it-
awful.
we should just
Really-
laugh at it.
No, this is just Scottish stand-up comedy.
This is fucking awful.
I'm the
I
only
apologise.
Scottish one here.
Don't worry, we're not going to be doing this for much longer. We're going to get on to the actual topic. If you want to skip forward, I don't blame you.
Sick of them.
But yeah, so the next one is the tactical nuke videos that Ronan made.
That was sick, to be fair. Dane's sitting there because he has no.
Which was
fucking clue.
interesting.
I'm gonna put that in there. He has no clue.
So it's like basically retribution bombing people with vengeance and stuff.
Yeah.
He stacked like 25 people on top of each other and then nuked someone. So interesting concept. And then we've got Soup's video for the Gillinor Games, which is, I believe, just episode 1. Ormscald is the Chambers of Xeric one they did, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And we got a joint entry at the end for Exact and Rendy for both of their 3 Combat Firecape videos.
Which is mental.
Yeah, I mean, that's just,
Yeah.
that is insane. So again, Grant and I had a little chat about this the other day. You know, because we actually talk instead of just, you know, popping in for the podcast thinking you're a fucking
for
diva.
Grant.
Wow, that is...
Dane,
okay.
I will say, jealous is not your best color.
Yeah, it does not suit you.
It doesn't, does it?
I'm replacing you, Dane. Grant and I are now the owners of Hex. No,
All my homies hate Special.
the guy she
Fine,
says not to
fine.
worry about is Grant. Okay, so the Exact and Rendy video. I think that, like, while the videos are... I mean, while the accomplishment is fucking incredible, I don't think the video is necessarily...
Yeah, it depends
don't
how
know.
you're judging it, right?
Yeah,
It's like,
I don't know that they should win a gnome for best old school RuneScape video as a result of that challenge. I think they should get like a fucking statue in the game or something. Like,
yeah.
I feel like there's a more appropriate way of honoring that achievement
I feel
than a
like
Golden
this is
Gnome.
more not to do with them, but more to do with just the lack of categories. I feel like the best
Yeah.
EDM achievement, they would 100% win it.
Oh yeah,
It's just,
I mean
it just
absolutely.
depends on how we judge this. But yeah, no, I agree with you.
So I don't know that it necessarily for me ticks the box of best video. As much as I enjoy the Gillinor Games series, and I think that it's fantastic, I think as like a one-off, for me, it's the Battle Royale that wins it.
Mr. Value.
Yeah, that would be
100%.
my pick. Well, this
Um,
is the most stacked one of the subsections, definitely.
yeah,
It
it's,
was-
I think it's just it's hard to judge because they're all so different.
Yeah.
Correct. But I would, if I had to pick one, I'd go for EVscape.
So would I. I agree.
Yeah. Dane, did you happen to? I think I sent the link of the.
You did. I've not finished watching it.
Oh well, yes, like 20 hours.
It's like 20 hours, but
Did you manage to catch any of it?
I've watched about 3 hours worth. It's just good all round.
Yes.
Like, I've not got bored watching it yet, which is an achievement. So
I mean, that is saying a lot for you because you don't
that is
tend
an
to
awful
watch
lot.
too much.
Well, I have the attention span of a 6-year-old, so yeah.
Brain capacity one as well.
Okie dokie. So next category is best old school streamer, and we've got Fat Clouds, Poison Potion, Soldier Boy, and Sync.
Can I get a 1 in the chat and I will smoke a fat doink? I'm voting for Fat Clouds, 100%.
Oh, please
What is-
don't cut that.
What's fucking wrong with you?
I'm voting for Fat Clouds. I
What
don't
is wrong
care.
with you?
I'm voting for him. I love him.
Why is he our co-host?
What?
Jesus Christ! Right.
Right,
Chat.
Well, what do you think, Dane?
Well, I've not watched Fat Clouds, and as much as Soldier Boy is a hero in my eyes, you can't win this.
Can you imagine? It's just on his shelf next to his fucking like Grammys or whatever he's won. Yeah, whatever the fuck it is.
Gold chain.
We're getting him like a fucking gold-plated gnome.
Oh no.
I think for me, like you say, I don't know how new Sync actually is, but
He's the
watching
new
his
streamer boss,
streams,
man.
He is a pretty badass streamer. So
It makes
It's
me
not
sad
nominated for
that
this.
there is. It's like you look at the next category, which is best old school streamer, and it's hard to compete with the names on
Have
that
I done it
list.
again?
yeah, I
What?
agree.
Done what?
Is this new streamer or?
No, this is best new streamer.
Oh,
I was just saying that if you look at the next category, best old school streamer, it's hard to really fit Sync into that list because it's so stacked. So again, it goes back to what you were saying about how the categories are a bit limited. There isn't like best up and coming streamer or something, because I feel like he would
I will
fit
give
better in that.
Sync is like he's sick. Like his
But
streams are great.
he's worked so hard for it, and
Like I'll sit there and I'll talk shit and be like, oh, well, he's not new. But like at the end of the day, like he does deserve to win a gnome regardless.
Yeah,
of
he
said
does.
Category. So I mean, it's hard. I don't know.
I think Poison Potion, if he was going to win one, should win one for like being a best new content. I hadn't even heard of him until
Neither
like
have
2
I,
months
no.
ago when I saw
Yeah.
one of his videos pop up on Reddit.
For sure. I
Fat
definitely
Clouds,
think
I think he's a good
Fat
streamer,
Clouds.
but
he's another-
he doesn't have the same like pull as Sync.
Fat Clouds is just a pure like okay, so like Sync is really popular because he's really good at the game, right? Like that's just basically why he's big, is because he's like sick at the game.
Mhm.
Fat Clouds is just he's like the opposite in the fight. I'm not saying he's bad at the game, but like he's just
Like
really
the
good at
rank
the game.
18 Iron Man or something, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But he's not like a PVM god or anything. Like he's he just skills a lot. He's just really really entertaining. So it's like it's hard to just judge it. So
I think that we can all agree to just fucking ignore Soldier Boy in this category.
I'm voting for him.
How dare you?
No, how dare
I think that it's like, I mean, we've all watched his streams together and laughed about how ridiculous it is that
When he
Soldier
played
Boy
that
is playing old
Christmas
school.
song on repeat.
Oh my
for, like,
god. Dun,
3
dun,
hours.
dun, 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 dun.
I'll
Like,
play old school RuneScape. Yeah.
I mean, he made the song Drip Exchange. I mean, but like, have you seen him streaming old school recently?
Nah, not really.
He did it for like a
He's
week.
not an old school streamer.
But yeah,
It's
like that's the thing. I think it would be a bit disingenuous to,
I actually think
give him a gnome.
I'm slightly disappointed in Jagex for that.
but like,
So it's
including
funny
him.
and it's memey and it's like, but I just think someone could have been there.
Yeah,
someone,
like, yeah.
A guy called Connor OSRS, like criminally underrated. He should have been up there. Like Lake, although he's been around for a while, you could argue the same thing for Sync. Like guys like
Yeah.
that who just deserve. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it's more of an excuse to see if you can have him turn up at like RuneFest or whatever. I feel
It'd be
like that's.
hilarious,
I mean,
but
it
still.
would be, and if they can make that happen, I would love it. It would be so fucking funny. But
Oh, it would be fun.
I think it would be a shame to.
This and yeah, no, I
Yeah,
totally
like,
agree with you.
I don't know. For me,
Like,
and like you
literally,
said,
I am on
Sync isn't a
Twitch.
new streamer, but
No, I do think he deserves to win a gnome though. So I
Yeah.
mean, if you're gonna vote for him, I'd vote for him now because I mean, yeah, like I'm sitting looking down my Twitch list right now, and there's so many people that I follow that are currently in the sort of like 150, 200 viewer list that are just so criminally underrated and deserve to get a spot. And like, nah, we'll just put Soldier Boy XD. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
don't know.
the problem is that like new streamers don't get the notoriety, right? Like it's
No.
impossible. Like because you're a new streamer, Grant. Like you
Mhm.
started streaming. Wait, when did you start
A year
streaming?
ago.
Yeah, I mean, like, but it's hard to have someone at Jagex be like, oh yeah, this guy streams to like 20 people or whatever.
Yeah.
Let's give him a gnome, and I understand why, but
No, it is hard. It's not like
yeah, it's just tough for the new people to get
I
noticed.
just
And
think
then,
this is just obviously sync.
yeah,
Not really much debate about it.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's sync.
Yeah.
Grant, I know that you like Fat Cloud, so
I like Fat Cloud just because he's hilarious, but if we're talking most consistent, like, deserving person that's been doing this,
to me, that's what I think. I think who's
I'll-
put the hours in to get to this point.
and that's in no way me saying that Fat Clouds hasn't, because he's done a lot. Like, he's genuinely, like, I remember watching him when he had like 20 viewers. Now he gets like well over 150 people. But yeah, no, I think it's like Sig's huge now.
I know.
Like,
It's
he
nuts.
went from streaming to maybe like 100 and something people, which in my book is still extremely successful.
Yeah.
But now he streams to probably like just under 1,000 people. So I mean, that's growth.
And
So
he
fair
streams
enough.
every day. Like this guy, like
Oh,
every
have you
time
seen
I
how long
turn
he
Twitch
streams
on,
for?
he's streaming, and it's not like
It's like
he's
11
streaming
hours.
fishing.
Like, it's a
He's
lot.
doing
It's-
solo raids like all day.
Yeah,
Has he got
fair
his pet
enough.
yet?
Nah, 4,000 KC, no pet.
Without the
Good
omelet.
grief, what a hero.
I know.
Item to
I
omelet
just-
without the
That's
omelet.
like,
Next category, best old school RuneScape streamer. So this one again is fucking stacked. So we got Curtis, It's Will, Oda Block, and Sick Nerd, and I think we all know who's winning this one.
yes, I think we do.
If it is anybody other than Sick Nerd, I will be incredibly surprised. But
Really?
Yeah.
You think it isn't going to be Oda Block?
if it's Oda Block, I'm quitting this game.
I just think it will be Oda Block.
I mean, the man came out of a coma. Like the community is gonna just rally around Sick Nerd for
no,
this
I
one.
agree, well, 100%. He deserved to win it last year too.
Yeah, like he got fucking joked last year. I know that this year he hasn't really streamed like exclusively old school. He's done a lot of Fall Guys and stuff. So
Yeah.
um,
But still, though, I think most definitely. Like, the guy has the best hardcore in the game.
Yeah.
And that was all done on stream. So, I mean, you can't fault him. It's sick, so.
yeah.
Alright, fair enough.
Yeah, we move. Like, it just is.
Yeah, I think it just is. But I mean, like I said, I'd be surprised if it was anyone else. Best new old school RuneScape artist. So we got Artistic Imp from SD and Nancy. I haven't seen any of
SD.
their work actually, so
I actually know S. Well, I don't know her personally, but she chills in the Scuffiness CC and she makes the models. She sells them on her website. And they're really
Oh.
good.
Well, then we're voting for her then.
We're voting for SD.
Team SD. Do these names ring a bell or?
Crumb rings a bell? I
know
really
a little
should
bit
look
of
at her
Chrome.
stuff.
Yeah, I know a bit
Yeah.
of Chrome. None of the others really. I'm just looking at Crumb's work now. He's the one that made that little Jad or something, was it? I believe. That looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure that we're going to need to reach out to people to get some new artwork done and stuff. So it's interesting to keep track of their names, I guess. Yeah, I'm not too fussed about that one. Best old school artist. So I mean, this one is going to be interesting. So we've got 25 buttholes.
Yes.
He's got my vote.
my
Seventh
vote.
sleeper, Lil Smokey, and Zuhar. So we have the lewd master himself
Mr. Zuhar.
versus Lil Smokey.
Oh, Little Smokey's so good though.
Yeah, and I mean, with the recent Avatar intro that he did,
So sick, isn't it?
yeah, I don't know that Zuhar's going to need to bring out some fucking Neve elbows or something
Thing
in
is,
the
so
next couple of
Zuhar
days.
has won it. He has won one.
Yeah.
So,
It'd be quite
if
good
that's
to.
how we're judging it.
Well,
It's either 25 buttholes or Little Smokey.
I think it has to go to Lil Smokey, that one, to be honest.
Sure, I agree. Yeah.
And then we have, a bit further down, the best old school artistic creations. So Dane, Seventh Sleeper, is the guy that did the Pokemon
Yeah,
crossover,
They look ace. He's got my
Yeah,
vote.
they're really
which looks awesome. Then we have the Mod Ash Bagel.
good.
You guys remember that
Yeah,
one?
I've seen it, yeah.
Class.
The Great Ulm Automaton. I think that it all like moves around and stuff, which is pretty
Oh,
cool.
Yeah.
And then we've got the Little Smokey Avatar intro.
That's so cool though. Have you seen it, Dane?
I've
You've not
not
seen
actually
it?
watched it.
Oh, you should, man.
I mean, for me, it's Mod Ash Bagel. How the?
I can't vote for a bagel.
True.
Mine's the 7th Sleeper because
Yeah, it's really
of
cool.
Little Smoky or Seven Sleeper. Yeah.
That one would be tough.
Yeah, they're all
and finally, we have Best Music Creation. I haven't heard any of these, so I can't really comment. But we have Beats by Tickle and Ian Fire, The Raps of Gillinor. We have Jimmy's Sandy Confession. We have Levi Nihas Making Music, but Every Sound is RuneScape. Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. And finally, the OSRS Beats channel Song of the Elves Trap Remix. Now, I love the Trap remixes, so
they are cool.
I'm assuming that's where we're going to be going. Yeah, do you guys have any final thoughts on the Golden Gnomes this year? Anything that interests you?
No, I mean, I just hope Soldier Boy gets the dub, but besides that, I mean, yeah. I don't know. I think everyone who's on there definitely deserves to be nominated, and yeah, they're always a bit of fun, so definitely looking forward to it.
I think just going back to Sync for a minute, if Grant can keep his mouth shut and I can say his name properly, I do think he should definitely win it, obviously, and also it's gone like 4K dry. That's like
it's fucking nuts. Unbelievable.
We all agree. Say the line. Say what you were gonna say. Well,
no. Just all I wanted to say was like the fact that he has managed to do, because like we've all done grinds on this game, right? Like, and we have all burnt out at some point. He has done 4,000 Chambers of Xeric.
Oh, it's insane. It's nuts.
4,000
hard mode.
Yeah, that's not including plus like not including CMs. A lot of them are solos. Like, that's just fucking nuts. So
he's a gamer. What can I say?
Yeah,
that's the highest award
he deserves it.
A gamer.
Right. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for the Golden Gnomes. Yeah. No final thoughts from me on that one. You guys covered that. Covered that for me. So go on to the topic for the week. Now, this is a topic that originally I wanted to have a guest for. In case you guys listening didn't know, the plan is to eventually have guests on, not every week, but at least, in weeks that we have a topic that we feel like we know somebody that would be able to contribute a lot in that discussion. So this week, we're looking at Ironman mode. And originally I wanted to find someone that was like a high-level Ironman in the community to have them on to try and talk about some of the issues we're going to talk about. But then I thought, what would be really interesting is if we have the discussion without someone, and then a bit down the line, maybe like 6 months or whatever, we revisit the topic with someone that is like a high-level Ironman, and see if either our thoughts have changed in that time period, or if they've stayed the same and we can maybe get our guest to sort of convince us otherwise.
Sure.
So, like I said, this week we're looking at Ironman, particularly Ironmanscape as a concept.
Oh no.
Oh,
so just a bit of backstory about the three of us.
My jimmies are getting rustled.
We are not Ironman players. We all play main accounts with no restrictions. I'm slightly different because I have like a bajillion accounts. So I have plenty of experience playing Ironman up until the interesting part. I always seem to like get burned and stop just before it gets interesting. So I have like, I think my Ironman's like 1,800 total, something like that.
Yeah, it's not a bad account.
So in no means is it a bad account, but it's not at the point where you get to start doing like endgame PVM or all that sort of stuff. So before we talk about Ironmanscape, what is it about the mode that you guys just not a fan of?
This is fairly easy for me, so I'll go first. Why would you play a game that is played by thousands and is meant to be played by thousands? To try and do it on your own. It obviously can be done and it's impressive at like the end game level, but it's so tedious. It's just like, how do people have the time to do that? Thank you and good night.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Yeah, Grant, what's your...
I somewhat agree with him, but you know, I have no problem with it being in the game, and I like certain parts of the mode I know I would love to do. Like I would really enjoy doing like God Wars for all my stuff. It's just for me, I can't go over that early game. And you know, maybe that is a hurdle hurdle, a hurdle that one day I'll have to go over and just try it. But for me, I can't think about doing crafting on fucking Sears, or no, Camelot docks or whatever, like Catherby docks. I just can't do that.
Yeah.
Man.
I think that the idea of Iron Man is so cool.
Yeah.
I think that's something that we can all agree to on at least a certain level. Like the idea of getting like a drop from Bandos that's how you get your BCP.
Yeah, it's sick.
But then you start thinking about the farm runs, and you start thinking, okay, well, I need to get prayer pots in order to do this. How do I get prayer pots? Right, I need ranoweeds. How do I get ranoweeds? I need seeds. Where do I get the seeds from? And you just end up going down this rabbit hole of dumb. Which is like, that's at the point where it sort of loses it for me. But I can understand the appeal, obviously, as someone that's played the mode.
I have so many arguments to this topic, it's actually annoying me already.
Well, okay. Before we get cracking on then, if you guys had to guess what percentage of the player base played Iron Man, Hardcore Iron Man, Ultimate Iron Man, like and for the sake of this podcast, I'm going to say the word Iron Man a lot. By Iron Man, I mean hardcores. Because I can't be asked to keep clarifying that. So, how many people do you think play the Iron Man game mode?
And a percentage.
Yeah, just off the top of your head.
Now, my heart wants me to say that mains are still the meta, but I'm gonna say I think 60% of players playing Iron Man.
What do you reckon, Dane?
I think it's less than 50% because anyone that has an Iron Man will still play a main. But I think it's probably not far off. Maybe 40%, pushing 45 maybe.
I think in my head, I see it more towards like 30 to 25, but that's because I'm also factoring in like a lot of people, including like myself and you, Grant. A lot of people have alts that aren't Iron Man, and so like I'm sort of trying to think like in total how many accounts are Iron Man. I would say probably about 25 to 30%. So
actually no, I take my answer back. Actually, 60%'s a bit high. I just kind of I thought
that's what it feels though. Like, and
it does feel like it, especially on content creation stuff.
I wanted to ask you guys before I looked at any sort of data, because I was interested to see what your perception was as people that play the game every day. Now, when I was originally preparing for this podcast, like I said, I wanted to go and have a look at some actual facts, see what the data was, and there was none. There is nothing anywhere, nothing in the data streams, nothing on the wikis, anything like that. There's nothing about how many people interact with Iron Man. And I thought that was really weird. So I went on a mission to try and find out something. So I started hitting up Modash, Modlottie on Twitter, just to see if I could get something to go on. And I asked Modash, like, do you know what percentage... Fantastic man, by the way. Very polite to me.
Shut up, Ash.
So I asked him on Twitter, like, do you happen to know what percentage of the player base plays an Iron Man type game mode? And he got back to me in like 5 minutes saying, unfortunately, like, I don't know the answer to this. But I do know that in the last poll, so poll 72, 2% of the players that engaged with that poll were Ultimate Iron Men. And I said, okay, well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So then I went off to Modlottie and I was like, hi, Modlottie. Do you happen to know, what the percentages are? Because she's like the data analyst for DragX, right?
Yeah.
Now, I asked that question, I want to say 2 days ago. I haven't heard anything back from her yet. I know that she's not as active on Twitter as the other JMods. So if I do get a response from her, that'll be up on the screen right now. But as far as I can tell, there's no official number anywhere, which I think is really odd because, I mean, based on our perception, it's a large portion of the player base that plays
really
Iron
easy
Man.
to get a number on that.
And yeah, that's the other thing. if Modash knows that 2% of players that voted are Ultimate Iron Men, surely someone knows what percentage are just of the accounts in general are Iron Men.
Yeah. No, I'd probably go similar to you then. I'd probably say somewhere between sort of 30 and 35% ish.
And I think that, like, obviously, Ultimate Iron Men are very much an extreme niche in the game.
Growing though.
Yeah, definitely growing. But they're obviously a very small minority. And they, out of that minority, they are most likely dedicated players. I can't see a casual player wanting to try and play the game without a bank. So they're in my head, they are therefore more likely to vote on polls. So I don't know just how much of an accurate representation that 2% is in terms of the entire population that plays the game. Because I know that I don't always vote on a poll if I don't have an issue with anything on there. So it sort of skews the numbers a bit, really. Not specifically me, but
like, because we obviously, I mean, I don't know about Dane, but I know for a fact both me and Will spend a lot of time like watching, whether it be streams or YouTube videos relating to RS, and I definitely think that does skew, you know, our idea of how many Iron Men play. Just because literally, like, you go on, you type in OSRS into YouTube, and you'll just find like hardcore Iron Man series, Ultimate Iron Man series, like Iron Man Progress. Like, there's just so much. So.
Yeah, so I would just be really interested to know what the percentage is. And I don't know if they're not allowed to give that information out.
I don't see why they wouldn't, though.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I can't see why. But yeah, I would find that really interesting. So if I do get a response, I'll put it on the screen. But the main topic that I wanted to sort of talk to you guys about was, and I know this is going to annoy particularly Grant,
Oh, here we go.
but should the game be balanced around Iron Man mode?
Yeah, man.
And the second part to my question is, should game balance consider Iron Man mode? So those are two very different questions.
I've got I've got straight answer, really easy. Thank you very much. Good night.
It's not an answer.
It is. Good night.
Good night.
I actually somewhat disagree then. I know you're probably thinking, what? So the first question is, should it be shaped around Iron Man? The answer is fucking no. Like, that's just blatant as fuck. But should it consider Iron Man? To an extent, yeah, because I don't think it's fair to completely leave out.
Okay, well we'll focus on the first question. So, should the game be balanced around Iron Man mode? Absolutely. You've both unequivocally said no. I agree. I don't think it should. I don't think there's anybody out there that, I mean, I'm sure there probably are.
It's the exact same as being balanced around pures. It's the exact same. It's a limiting account.
So, by making an Iron Man, you have chosen to apply certain limitations to your account. Okay. If the game then changes to accommodate those limitations, they aren't limitations anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You lose what it is that made the mode special in the first place, right? I think everybody can agree with that. Even those that want the game to be balanced around Iron Man can agree with that on some level.
Sure.
The problem is that so much of the game, as we have guessed earlier, and like I said, we don't have the official statistics on this. This is just going purely off of our perspective. But we all came to a relatively similar percentage, which is about like 30 to 40%. If 30 to 40% of the people that are playing this game are playing this mode, then, in my opinion, I'm siding with Grant. They should be at least considered. Because if you are just fucking over that entire portion of the player base, that is really not a strong marketing move.
Yeah, I agreed. I just think, I think one that comes to mind, when, you know, that specifically, is when they added the corp thing the Ironman portal.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
just
if you wah about that as a main, shut up. It doesn't affect you
That's
at
a
all.
different argument though, because that's
How?
the reason that they did that in my head is
Was to-
because they know that people on mains will just be dicks to people on Iron Man and go in, hit it once so that the Iron can't get the loot. That's different to thinking about future updates in terms of making sure that it's going to be suitable for Iron Man as well. And I get your point.
I
because
see.
there's the one thing about Nightmare though. They added the specific portal for Nightmare. That's a whole big update.
I think-
they made thing for.
I think what Dane is saying is that
I get it. No,
they, or for the listeners, they've taken an old existing piece of content, added a quality of life feature that affects only Iron Man, doesn't change the rest of the game. But I think what Dane's worried about is going forward, when they make new content, do they focus it completely on allowing Iron Men to have their own instance, or do you see what I mean? Like, it's
yeah. Well, they did do that with Nightmare.
so you do have to like soloing Nightmare is fucking hard.
Yeah.
You know, like there's 20-minute kills. It's not like, so I can understand. My only concern with adding stuff like instanced areas is if some bizarre world, the meta for like money making or whatever is to have like a high level Iron Man that can go into an instanced version of like Armadillo or something, or Bandos, and know that he will never get crashed. He can just stay there forever.
Yeah,
That's concerning to me.
for sure.
Then again, if
The whole
like-
point of RS though is that at some point you are going to get crashed because everyone's had it. So why change it now? It's too late. It's not authentic. It's bullshit.
I agree. It is a bit bullshit. But the players feel entitled. They think that having gotten to that point on their Iron Man.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, I'll take your other point as well about the market. It being obviously roughly 30 to 40% in our estimate. I think it's a pretty good estimate. I take your point that you want to also appeal to that 30 to 40% of players, but that basically what that means is once you get on that slope, it's very, very slippery, and all it's going to do is make future bosses like more geared towards like your solo sort of player, which is not what RS is.
No, I agree with that. It is an MMO.
The core of it is supposed to be about. So all it does really is just sort of it starts to devalue the Iron Man type of gameplay.
Yeah.
So then it gets to the point, well, what's the point of being an Iron Man if it's just that easy? So
yeah, true.
I can this comes back to the initial launch of the mode of Iron Man, right? Like that was very highly requested as a result of Boti's One Man Army series. We can all agree. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To me, if you want to pursue that route of doing a from scratch, because that's essentially what it is, going back years and years, Iron Man's existed for donkey's years.
oh,
Yeah.
Then there was nothing stopping you doing that before. There was nothing. I'm sure there wasn't like a high scores, but if you're the sort of player that is playing for the satisfaction of earning everything yourself, not trading a single player.
Limits before. No, I get
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Then that's why you should be playing the mode. It's not because you want to have a helmet next to your name
Well,
that
that's what it is
says.
now, though. It's
But
just
yeah.
the status. That's all it is now.
but that's why I also think that your argument, well, both your arguments about it, that trying to appeal to 30 to 5% to get like the membership fees, etc., is just irrelevant because people were still playing it years and years ago when it wasn't even a real thing officially. So
Yeah,
they're still going to play it now, and if that
would
means
be
that the
in-
game mode is harder because of the updates aren't centered around things like Zulra, then they're still going to do that. Whether it be hard mode or ultra Iron Man, whatever the shit's
Ultra.
called.
I mean, for me,
Oh.
it comes down to the same mentality that players have going for 120s or 200 mils. As soon as you introduce something into the game that gives you like an incentive to do it, whether that is a one. Okay, let's take 120s, right? So let's say there are players out there that want to get a virtual level of 120 in a skill because they really enjoy it. This is something that I'm going to be doing, or trying to do, when I finally run around the fucking RD agility roofs enough times. One of my post-max goals is to get myself 120 thieving. So everyone knows that's my thing, right? Like, that's my favorite skill. I'm going to do that regardless of whether there is a 120 thieving cape in the game, because it is a goal that I have set for myself that I want to achieve. As soon as you add 120 capes into the game, if you ever do, how many people are going to start going for 120 thieving?
It's that, but it's also more like, for example, I remember they were talking about on Reddit, you know, the font of all knowledge is Reddit, but they were talking about, like, why isn't there 200 mil capes? No one has 200 mil. It's a massive achievement. But the issue is, as soon as you add a 200 mil cape, right, the methods are going to get easier, the XP rates are going to get faster. Because people want to get this cape, and I don't blame Jagex for doing that. They're just trying to appeal to that market, which I suppose goes all the way back to what we're talking with Iron Man. It's like, you have somewhat changed my mind, Dane, I won't lie.
At some point, introducing a formal, legitimized game mode, it means that there are people that are going to try it that aren't sort of hardcore players that were doing it back in the day. And I am perfectly happy with those players that want to try and explore the mode and learn and have fun with it. I get that, that's perfectly fine. But as soon as you start changing the game to accommodate for those players, that's an issue. At least it is to me. For the same reason that if I, in my current state, want to go and get 120 thieving, that's fine for me as someone that enjoys the skill and wants to do that, regardless of any reward. As soon as you put a reward in there, and then you start getting people, like you said, Grant, that are like, well, I think that this XP rate should be buffed because it takes this amount of time to get to, and that is dangerous for the health of the game, because that's when you end up with RS3. No shade at RS3, but you can get fucking ridiculous XP rates in that game because people want the 120 capes.
It's hard because I don't understand why someone who wants to play Iron Man would want to make it easier for themselves when the whole point of Iron Man is that it's like a hard mode setting for RS. So that's like saying that you want to do like a mission from COD on veteran, but only want to do it on hardened. Really,
it's because it's that issue though.
Stupid.
It's what we just spoke about though. It's not about the game mode anymore. It's a symbol.
Yeah, it's
like,
my
it's like
favorite streamer is an Iron Man. Yeah, it's
so
like, I want an Iron Man.
You can have an armadillo chest plate on a main, but having an Iron Man is like the equivalent of having like 120 thieving or something. I know that's a strange thing, but like, you know what I mean?
It's the
like,
prestige of it.
It's not about doing it and having fun doing it. It's about having it. And I think that's why the game's kind of gone the way it's gone. Now, there was the whole thing recently about Nightmare and the Arcane Spirit Shield, and how like Mod Husky on Twitter, no shade to him, but like he was one of the people that said it shouldn't be the Arcane that you change, it should be the Mage's Book, purely because the Arcane's more difficult to get for Ironman. You know?
Yeah,
just stupid.
I know that I think that's the way that Reddit took it. He went on to explain later that's not at all what he was saying, but
yeah, no, totally. I'm not saying that
I see your point,
but that's the way it was taken, and that's kind of like the way the game could go if it continues to go in the direction it is.
I think asking the question is fine, because I think like specifically about that Odd Husky thing, he was just asking why players felt like the Arcane was a suitable piece of content to adjust, because there's no connection between an Arcane Spirit Shield and the Nightmare of Ashihama as a piece of content. So he was just wondering from like continuity perspective, like, why is it the Arcane that you want to touch? Surely something else would make sense.
I know you're not actually asking the question, but I will say I think it should have been the Arcane for the reason that the Arcane was at that time the best in slot.
Oh yeah, I mean, I completely agree. It should be. If they were to add the Siren's Tome equivalent to something down the road, it should be the Arcane that gets changed. And I know that Dane doesn't agree with that, would rather have his own like new shield or whatever that is to like leave the Spirit Shields untouched. I mean, that's just differing opinions.
We did kind of speak about that briefly in the last
Gear podcast that we did.
Yeah, so
But yeah, I think
Do
that
not touch my arcane.
yeah, true. Because then if you're fashion scaping with an arcane, people are like, "Oh, why didn't you have the blood arcane or whatever the hell it would be called?"
If
Yeah,
old
true.
school had dyes, I'd be completely fine with that.
Oh, I don't know. Fuck
Yeah,
that.
well, I don't know. That's a bold statement.
Yeah, maybe not. But yeah, so just back onto the Iron Man subject then. Do you think there's a particular area of the game that has been severely damaged as a result of Ironmanscape, or a piece of content that you think that was made for Iron Men that is bad for the game? Can you think of any examples of that off the top of your heads?
I mean,
Not off the top
I
of my
think there's
head,
two
no.
fairly big ones that have affected it. Not necessarily, well, maybe more indirect than so, but I think Zulrah is a really
Yeah, that's the one that came into mind.
biggest example by a mile. Just because obviously virtually the two best in slot weapons for a large proportion of the game, and in terms of like the loot, it's just crazy what you get. Even post like rebalance
After the nerf, I mean,
Yeah.
the meta on all these Iron Man guides used to be rush as Ulra and then sit there until you had enough mahogany planks to do 99 construction, you had enough seeds to do 99 farming, you had enough herbs to get 99 herb. Like, that used to be the thing. I'm very glad that Jagex did address it because it was toxic for the game, no pun intended.
Stop it.
But
Joy.
outside of Zulrah, I can't really think of like a.
I actually can, but I don't know if it was.
Forecast? No.
Nah.
99 prayer within about 2
I guess
kills.
it's good for alkaballs, but
What I
It's
was
not-
actually going to say.
It's not OP that, but
yeah.
it's still quite a big one.
What I was going to say is I don't think necessarily this was designed for Iron Man, but I definitely think Iron Man influenced it. And that is the idea of Slayer bosses, because they're solo. How many bosses have come into the game and it's just been solo content? Serb,
Yeah.
Grotesque, Hydra, Kraken. These are all big updates that have come out, Sire. Like, and you know, they're like big updates, and you
Yeah.
can do them as a team. I don't know if that's a bad thing, but I definitely think there must have been a chat going like, okay, well, you know, this is good for people.
Yeah, I'm sure there
agree with
was.
that.
I
wouldn't say
hadn't
it
thought about
obviously
that.
affects the game with that, but
No,
again,
but it is true.
it's just another update that like hugely benefits Iron Man and doesn't really give any sort of other benefit to a normal player.
And the thing about it is, Sick Nerd, who undoubtedly has like the best hardcore, if we're talking about items. I know Alkin has like rank 1 or whatever, but in terms of like completion, it's Sick Nerd. And even he was like, I'm sick of solo escape. Like when Hydra came out, he was like, oh, this is cool, but I would love like a Raids 3 or something like that rather than just these bosses that I do solo.
And then it's like, okay, so we're now at a point where we introduce Iron Man mode for the players that want to play solo, right? So now all of these solo players have like maxed their accounts and they've got all of their gear, and now they think actually playing solo is a bit boring. I want to play solo with other people.
Yeah.
And it's like
what?
are you fucking kidding? Like, what are you talking about? That's so stupid. No offense to any Iron Man out there, but I mean a bit of offense because it's just stupid. Like, you can't design content for group encounters and have that also cater to like Iron Man. And people will point to Chambers of Xeric and stuff, but fuck off. Like, honestly, that's so stupid. Like, if you die in Chambers of Xeric, it means nothing. You know, like, Theatre of Blood works well because it is sort of catered to the individual performance of players, so you get your points for completing rooms, and then that's how you stock up on supplies. Obviously, if you are inexperienced, you get less points. Maybe your team will help you out. But
Well, it is somewhat the same at Chambers, though. If you die, your points are halved, right?
well, yeah, but like
You're less likely to get
the thing is, people do Chambers of Xeric first because it's a safe death, right? And everyone seems to care more about their hardcore status rather than being an Iron Man at this point.
Yeah.
So if you die at Chambers, it's like whatever. If you die, that's why you don't see. That's why you see like how incredible it is that Sick Nerd has got every single item from Theatre of Blood, because it's fucking risky. It requires you to play well. Whereas I feel like less impressive to have everything from
Back to
chambers.
My entire point again, someone that plays a hardcore, who then literally plays the game in like a different manner to anyone else. Like, well, what's the point of playing a hardcore then? I get like it not doing as much PVM, but then
High
don't play
scores, man.
hardcore.
The shiny badge. That's literally it. And that goes all the way back to what we were talking about before. It's just having a shiny red badge beside your name.
It's
But
like
look
the,
at Alkin's account. Like, it's like, what, I think it, this recording, it's like, what, rank 1 or 2?
yeah,
And,
I think it's rank
in
1.
terms of an account, it's an impressive account, but not because it's hardcore.
Yeah, it's basically a flex account at this
Pretty
point,
much.
which is fine for the people that want to play a flex account. And I just want to reiterate this: it's fine if you want to play Ironman mode, or you want to play hardcore, or whatever you want to do. That's fine. That is completely up to you. You are choosing these limitations, right? I have made plenty of accounts. I've made Snowflake accounts. I've made Pures. I've made Ironman. I've chosen to make these accounts, right? But I am not expecting that Jagex think, oh, well, we need to consider how this next update applies to One Fence Ironman.
Yeah.
Because
no,
that's
I totally
fucking
agree.
stupid.
It's ridiculous.
And if you don't agree with that, then I don't know
You're
what your
new.
logic could possibly be. Because you should be
Apart from money.
adapting. Yeah. I mean, you should be adapting to the game, not the game adapting to you. That is as simple as it gets. That is like the main thing that I wanted to say at some point during this podcast.
Reach it, King.
I'm
Roger that.
very angry
Roger,
right now
Roger.
because
Sure.
this stuff annoys me because I love this game and it's I just don't want it to
We
get
can all agree with that, though.
fucked.
We can all agree that we want as many people as we can to play the game.
Yeah.
But what makes the game so good is why it is how it is. So then
Exactly.
once you start changing that to cater to one single player base, then it just
That's
people
exactly it.
won't like it. So what's the point?
People come here because it's like actually that's a bit political and IRL. I won't say that. But people come here because this is the game that they think, oh, that looks fun. That's why you start playing. You don't start playing because you think, as soon as I start playing, this game is going to bend to my will.
No.
Go
totally
fucking
agree.
play Minecraft if you want to change the world, you know? Like, don't try and force an agenda on something that is, and like, as much as I love the fact that this is a community driven game, like we have polls and stuff and everything that gets put in the game is something that we vote for, it is the game developer's job to understand what is good for the game. And I'm thankful for the team that we have at Jagex because they all seem to care enough about this game to make smart choices. And if there is ever an integrity change that they feel like needs to be made, it'll piss off the community, then they're willing to do it, which I respect a lot. But yeah, I don't know. That's my rant on this. I know that this topic is a bit contentious for us because obviously we aren't Iron Men, so we see the game in a very different way. Which is why.
But I think even a lot of like high level Ironmen would probably agree with us.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
I do as well because they are the sort of people that want to play the game mode for the challenge, not for the
They want
flex.
to keep their modes that is specifically their mode because that's what they play. They want to make sure that that still has value.
I would be very curious to know if you walked up to an Iron Man and say, okay, you can continue playing an Iron Man from now on, your account will be perfectly fine, but you lose your little symbol next to your name. Would you keep playing it? I would be very interested to know how many people would say yes, because I guarantee that the top players or the people that have, put the time in, they will be like, yeah, that's fine. I don't need a little crown next to my name to understand the achievement that I've done here. And to those people, I tip my hat, like, well done you. But for the people out there that would be like, no, I need the world to know that I'm an Iron Man, and that is,
by the way.
Yeah, like that just blows my mind. Like, that's not the game mode that you should be playing. Like, it's not made for you. But
agreed.
Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna end up ranting about this if we don't stop me from ranting. So,
Stop.
do you guys have any like final thoughts about Ironmanscape?
No, I really just agree with everything you've said. with the premise that I don't think they should be forgotten. But we've been over this, but they should be forgotten. They're very much there, and they're very much a large part of the game. But again, shouldn't be shaped around them. So
I love watching them, but don't change the game for them.
Yep.
Thank you.
Good night.
Yeah, I mean that is it, right? Like that is all we really need to say on the topic. And I wanted to do this podcast without a high level Iron Man with us because I feel like if we did have a guest, we would pull some punches. So
Yeah, true. We'd be like we would.
I know that I would be dancing around the topic a bit more because I wouldn't want to offend. But then again, I feel like the sort of guest that we would get on would agree with most of what we're saying, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe, in a few months, if we can get a guest on that is a high-level Iron Man, it'll be really interesting to revisit this topic. If you guys would be interested in doing that.
Totally.
Because I know I would. I think it would be quite interesting to have the conversation. Yeah, aside from that, I think that's everything that I've got for this topic this week.
How long will we going for?
We've just hit the hour mark, hour and 5 minutes. But then again, the first sort of 4 minutes of this are you guys bullying me, so I need to cut that out. So we're probably about an hour. Okay, I think that's gonna do it for this episode.
Let us know what you think.
Yeah, exactly. If you agree with us, disagree with us, I mean that's the point of this, right? Like we're just trying to have the conversation.
Debate, right?
So drop all that below if you want to. If you don't want to and you just want to be angry at us, then
if you also
by all means
timestamp parts of the video where I make silly sounds, do that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know that this video has come across more as like an angry rant than our usual podcasts because we're normally pretty good at separating the emotion from whatever we're discussing and look at the facts. But I think this is something that actually evokes an emotional response from all of us. I think that we
just want what's best for the game, man.
Yeah,
that's all we want.
That's not necessarily to say that we know what's best for the game, but
no, of course
we've been around for long enough to see when like bad stuff is happening.
And all that time, me and you will disagree, or you and Dane will disagree, and vice versa. Like we all have that one common thing, and that's we all want this game to do well. So
yeah, exactly.
What can we say?
Right. Well, that's it from me, guys. Have you got anything you want to add on to the end before I finish this up?
No, I think I'm good.
Thanks for getting to this point again. If you have, guys.
Yeah.
See you next week.
See you next week.
So thanks for tuning in, everybody. All of the socials and stuff will be in the description. Let me know if you have any topics that you want us to talk about. If you want to send me a DM on Twitter or leave a comment in the video, then do that, and I will see them. Yeah, I am happy with this episode, and now we shall end. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Guys. Bye.
Ciao.